This is the safest vault in the world. Not even a fly can get inside. It's not only built 100 meters underground, but there's also a balance scale beneath it. If anyone tries to break in, even causing the slightest imbalance, the blast-proof door will immediately seal off the vault. Then, water will start flooding in, drowning the intruder inside. Directly across from the bank is the military headquarters, with hundreds of soldiers on standby at all times. Inside the bank, every corner is covered by cameras and sensors, with someone monitoring them 24/7. Even the head of security has an impressive background. He's a former counter-terrorism unit commander. The man's name is Walter. He's the leader of a treasure hunting team, and he wants to get his hands on 3 gold coins hidden in the vault. Here, we meet Walter's team. Tom, the genius. Lorraine, the beautiful master thief. Klaus, the computer hacker. James, the former Marine. And Simon, who handles logistics. Once the teams assemble, they immediately start planning their mission. First, Klaus hacks into the bank's surveillance system. Then Tom, disguised as a janitor, sneaks into the bank to find a way into the conference room above the vault. Using a magnet, he scans the vault structure, so they can analyze it later. To open the vault, they need 2 keys and the head of security's fingerprint. These 2 tasks are crucial and not easy to pull off. How will they handle them? This woman is a top-tier thief. She disguises herself as an art appraiser and arrives at the bank. Taking advantage of the moment when she shook hands with others, she handed her coffee to the security chief. She gets his fingerprint without him noticing. She quickly sends the fingerprint to her teammates, who use it to make a perfect replica of his fingertip. Next, Lorraine heads to the bank president's office. Once the guard leaves, she pulls out a UV light from her bag and scans a famous painting on the wall. But her real target isn't the painting, it's the vault. Klaus records her movements on video and slows it down by 20 times to play back. This replaces the live footage of the bank's surveillance cameras, giving them a 2-minute window. Lorraine rushes to the safe, attaches something like a stethoscope to it, and just as the guard in the monitoring room is watching her closely, he doesn't realize she's already cracked the safe and grabbed the vault key. She starts the laser scanning process. Klaus receives the data and successfully uses 3D printing to replicate the key. Once everything is done, she places the key back where she found it, but then, the bank president suddenly walks in, throwing a wrench into their plan. If the president appears on the surveillance footage at the wrong time, it would raise suspicions. Quick-witted Lorraine pulls out her phone and asks him to take a work photo for her. The president happily agrees, but he still ends up in the frame. Lorraine asks him to step back a little, and he obediently takes a few steps back. At the last second, he's just out of the camera's view, avoiding the head of security's attention. Meanwhile, Tom, disguised as the janitor, enters the conference room. He uses a magnetic scanner under the table to scan the vault structure below, but halfway through, a group of people walks in for a meeting, trapping Tom under the table. At the same time, 2 files fall to the floor. With no time to think, he cranks the power to maximum to trigger an alarm. As the alarm blares, everyone in the room stands up and leaves. The bank goes on high alert. Everyone gathers in the lobby, and the military immediately moves in, surrounding the bank. Just as Lorraine finishes scanning the second key, she doesn't have time to put it back in the safe. She has no choice but to take the key with her. Luckily, Tom isn't in the lobby. Lorraine quickly tosses the key to him when no one is looking. Tom sneaks back into the office and places the key back in the safe. He's just finished doing this when a security guard enters the room. Tom pretends to be startled and explains that he was wearing headphones and didn't hear the alarm. He successfully deceives the guard and escapes without a hitch, since nothing was actually stolen. The bank has no choice but to release everyone back at their hideout. The team starts analyzing the vault structure, but there's one area that remains unclear. Tom figures out that the blurry sections must be related to water. They've surrounded the vault with water, and if anyone breaks in, the water will be released. But the vault was built over 70 years ago, before infrared sensors and alarms existed. So, how did they know if someone was entering? After a brief moment of thought, Tom comes up with the answer. Wait, it turns out there's a large balance scale under the vault. If the weight changes even a little, it triggers the mechanism. But how could they enter without changing the weight? Soon enough, Tom comes up with a solution. He takes out a balance scale, sprays it with liquid nitrogen, and then places a cup of water on top. The needle doesn't move at all. The liquid nitrogen froze the balance scale, rendering it temporarily useless. With that problem solved, they decide to carry out the heist the next day. The man uses a grappling hook gun and aims at the bank's rooftop. He pulls the trigger, and the hook catches onto a metal frame. He clips on the safety lock, and quickly slides up to the roof of the bank. Once all 3 teammates arrive, they use suction cups to remove a section of the rooftop glass. Klaus loops the surveillance system to a continuous playback. The team seizes the opportunity to slip into the bank lobby via safety ropes. Guided by Klaus, they successfully avoid the guards, and use the ventilation ducts to move toward the vault. They soon reach the vault's outer door, but a large gap blocks their path. Thankfully, they had prepared for this. James sets up a telescoping ladder, expanding it and leaning it across the gap to create a makeshift bridge. Slowly, they all cross over. Soon, all 3 are on the other side. James uses a fake fingerprint to successfully pass through the biometric system. Tom and Lorraine use the keys they prepared earlier and turn them simultaneously. The vault door slowly opens. Inside, they find the treasure chest they retrieved from the ocean floor, but none of them dares to enter, because beneath the vault is a massive balance scale. If the weight shifts even slightly, it will trigger the mechanism. At this moment, Simon follows the plan and sprays liquid nitrogen on the base of the scale. The scale quickly freezes, becoming inactive. The floor of the vault begins to frost over. Tom cautiously steps inside, and sure enough, the needle of the balance scale doesn't move. The three of them finally relax, and start rummaging through the chest for the gold coins. It doesn't take long before Lorraine finds them, but the liquid nitrogen begins to dissipate. The security team realizes someone's entered the vault, and immediately sends a team to investigate. Just as they're about to leave, James suddenly pulls out a gun. It turns out he plans to keep the gold for himself. At that moment, the balance scale suddenly becomes unbalanced, triggering the mechanism. The door rapidly closes, and they are trapped inside. Then, the water gate starts to release water. In less than 2 minutes, the whole vault will be completely flooded. James, being an expert diver, dives into the water, swimming out through the water inlet with the gold coins. As for Tom and Lorraine, they're stuck inside, waiting to drown. Suddenly, Tom has an idea. He tells Simon to place the liquid nitrogen on the balance scale, so the scale detects the water filling up. This will stop the water from being released. Simon quickly follows the instructions, and places all the liquid nitrogen onto the scale. Before long, the gate closes. Soon, the water starts draining out. By the time the security team enters the vault, there's no sign of them. It turns out, the two had escaped through the ventilation ducts, blended in with the crowd, and changed into Spanish football jerseys, hiding among the World Cup fans. They successfully made their getaway. Unfortunately for James, he still took the gold coins, but Walter is wearing a sinister grin. He'd already suspected James was up to something, so he had someone make 3 fake coins in advance. By the time Lorraine found the gold, she had already swapped them out.